Hi, I'm Kiana, the host of Lowki Genius, and it's been a minute, babe. It's literally been a minute. But I am so excited to be doing this episode right now, and I just can't wait to get into the tea so that y'all can find out how much of truly an amazing businesswoman you are either not tapped in with yet or will leave this episode being like, I need to book with Shadae immediately. Period.
Hi. Thank you so much for giving me this platform. And thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm Shadae of The Glass Effect. I've been a business owner for about 5 years now. I am stepping into a new realm, Fem.Giene Laboratories. That's what we'll be introducing today.
Are you nervous?
Not really.
Period. No self-doubt. Because we're not doing self-doubt in 2025. Thank you. So I know we're here today to really talk about Fem.Giene.
Yes.
But really quickly, I want to talk about your amazing journey as a business owner and an entrepreneur generally. And
Yes.
being a Black woman leading in women's health and wellness. How has your journey been? You're at the 5th year mark of starting The Glass Effect.
Yeah.
Which we are sitting in right now. So literal realized prayer and realized action. And you're about to launch your next branch of business.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now today, just in entrepreneurship?
It's not been easy. I'll say that.
And nothing that's worth it is easy.
So I think entrepreneurship has been glamorized and portrayed as luxury, and that you get into business and boom, you start funding this lifestyle. But I think as somebody who has encountered money from my business, it's always made more sense to me to reinvest. And even if that reinvestment doesn't pay off right then and there, it makes sense for me to constantly learn more. If anything you love, you're gonna wanna make sure you're fully educated in every aspect. And that's not like a one-shot deal. You learn everything and you go. You have to learn how to adapt. You have to learn to be without. You have to learn to make it work, make it pop. And then you have to also learn that not every space is made for you to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. So you kind of got to create the space for you and your people as the business owner. Not only are you showing up for yourself, but you're showing up for the people that you represent and the core audience that you're trying to attract. Literally. I think I keep showing up because I want to keep giving people a space to come to. I feel like I'm doing my role, not just in this field, but in society, helping where I can help. That's important to me.
That's beautiful. There's been challenges, but you've overcome every single challenge, and even if you haven't, that is unclear to the public eye.
I always made sure to celebrate myself, and I always made sure not to get too comfortable. And that, I guess that's what made me want to start offering more services. It was like, okay, cool, you get a milestone. What are you offering them now that you have this milestone? Like, you have it. Every time I've had a small within my business, I felt like I needed something. Whether that meant training within states, whether that meant going to another state, whether that meant going out of the country. I have now traveled to about 3 countries that was solely just for training. And that's what I did.
Introduce us to Fem.Giene. It's legendary to think about how you created a woman's probiotic centering Black women. It's legendary to even say that out loud.
No, it's legendary to think about it. Like, when I thought about the idea, I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Like, the audacity.
The all fucking audacity. So this came to me 3 years ago. And I think this is when a lot of girls were sharing or getting comfortable with sharing the fact that they were having BV or having yeast or having hormonal imbalances that caused them to have those STIs or just PhD off and recognizing that it's not a bad thing. Women started owning a lot of the things that were going on in their body and not just keeping it like this picture perfect thing. When I started just getting involved in that sector, I sugar wax. I'm having clients come to me, and as a professional, you don't want your clients to be uncomfortable, but you also want to make them aware of what's going on. And you'd be surprised how many Black women are unaware of what is going on with their bodies or how to rectify it.
Yeah.
I'm realizing like I'm having younger girls, older women come to me, and they're not really necessarily catching that their pH is off. So it's about me seeing there's a problem and fixing it. In true nature of myself. I'm like, yes, I found a problem, let me fix it. So I'm calling manufacturers, and I'm sure they're like, who is this young lady on the other line? And what the fuck does she think she's about to do? I called every manufacturer in the book, and I don't even know if what I want to happen is even possible. I had the idea, I created the formulation, I had somebody who was in their rights within their professionalism to deem my formulation as correct. And I'm like, ooh, I did that. I ate that up. And I'm presenting it to these laboratories, and they're like, oh, you need to produce a minimum quantity order of 100,000 units. Wow. I'm like, 100,000 units? Who the fuck am I supposed to sell that to? 100,000, a 0.5. When am I gonna do all of that? I don't even have a website. Literally, I don't have a website. I just have a formulation. I called for like another week, and I finally come across my manufacturer, and I'm like, hey, I want to go ride. They're like, oh, we have a standard formulation. I'm like, no, your standard formulation is for standard people. I'm making a product that I want geared toward Black women, and this is what I needed to have in it, period. They're like, okay, we can make that happen. They're like, minimum quantity, I think 10,000. I'm like, you know what? I can make that work. And my mind like, what do you be getting yourself into? And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. They're like, oh, you gotta make the label. I'm like, I gotta make a fucking label. I'm like, I gotta make a label. Now I gotta go make a label.
A lot of firsts in this.
Seriously. Now I go make a label. I don't even know how to make a label. I'm like, okay, cool. I got the label. They're like, all right, we're gonna start manufacturing. I think because of what I wanted in the product, and because I was so specific about what I wanted, they engaged their chemist. We got on one accord, and they started manufacturing. I'm like, look, I want to see the process. I want to see everything. I want to make sure the quality of this is great. They're like, yeah, we got you. I think they took a year or at least 8 months before production. So I'm just sitting there. I'm on fire. I'm like, I just did a product. I'm okay formulating the next Black scientist without a science degree. My degree is in business. So I'm like, okay, I'm losing my fire because they're taking so long. I want to say a few months after that, I get like 25 boxes dropped on my doorstep. I'm like, what am I about to do with all this damn product? And I decided to take a leap of faith because I think it's important for women to be very aware of what is for them. Not just women, but Black women in specific, to know what works for them, and to know just because something is inclusive doesn't mean that it's for you. And to know that I did this with for you, by you, in mind, and I took the time to really find out what works for us versus what doesn't work for us, and just knowing the science behind everything. And everybody wants to make it seem like, oh, we need all inclusive. No. We don't have the same issues. We don't have the same microbiome. Understanding that, I'm like, yeah. Hell yeah. You know what? Hell yeah. And now I have Fem.Giene Laboratory. And I wasn't going to make its own thing. But I think it's important for me to start here, but not stop here. Why would I make one product and not make another? Why would I formulate one thing that's going to work for Black women and not formulate another thing that's going to work for Black women?
What are you feeling like you're most excited for when it comes to the launch of Fem.Giene, or just like the future that you envision for Fem.Giene? Like, what are you most excited for?
I think what I'm most excited for is the education, like the educational aspect of things. I think when you put so much into your self-care and your well-being, that ain't something you're willing to compromise at all.
Like when you bring up education, the first thing that comes to mind for me, I think, is for young women specifically to really understand your body is constantly changing and you need to respond to that change.
Yes.
And I take Fem.Giene and have been taking Fem.Giene. And so you already know my thoughts about it. But for those of you that don't know, like, this product is amazing and genuinely makes me feel better. Like,
Period.
there were months when I didn't have Fem.Giene. I know what it feels like, and it can definitely put you out of whack. And so if you're not taking care of your body internally, and truly if you are not like solving the core issues at their root, you will be out of whack. And so I think the educational aspect is super important when it comes down to what you do in business in general.
Yeah. I love that you said solving the issue. And I think that was my approach with Fem.Giene. It's not only to have something that assists when there's an issue, but we want to get into preventative measures. A lot of what goes on with feminine health is just you realizing there's a problem and then trying to fix that problem. I think it's important to prepare yourself for the unknown. Mm-hmm. And I think this is what goes back to why Fem.Giene is different from anything that's out there. So now you can take preventive measures to fight whatever comes about as it comes about. There are things outside of what people think of when they're coming to terms with how we can get impacted by gut health and vaginal health. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't understand we lose quality in simple things like clothes, cotton, paints, and all of those things definitely play a role with your feminine health. When we're losing quality and no shame, the girls are buying clothes off Shein. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's true.
Your body is wrapped in plastic, polyethylene. It's a lot. No, seriously. You daily, especially women in fitness.
Literally.
Wrapped in plastic, trying to center yourself in yoga.
And then you went hot yoga at that.
Hot yoga. The plastic is seeping into your pores.
Yes. And I'm not saying that to say shop machine. No. I'm saying that to say I'm happy that when women come up in age and they start to engage in sexual activities, it starts to bring up the topic. But what I want to move from is women being aware of it only when it comes to just being sexually involved, period. It can be something as simple as food. It can be something as simple as what you wear. It can be something as simple as just changing the routine.
You bring up an excellent point about how a lot of our external really does affect the internal.
Yeah.
What do you feel like was it for you?
I am one of those people who I thought I had psoriasis, but I just have seborrheic dermatitis.
Did Google tell you that?
No. I literally booked a dermatologist for this one, and I don't trust the people. No, I'm stop. But I definitely booked a dermatologist and went in with the testing. So that's like mild forms of eczema. And as I got familiar with seborrheic dermatitis, I started realizing how culturally everything that the Black community does is directly opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. Why seborrheic dermatitis? No, seriously. And then to find out that Black people are the leading ones to have seborrheic dermatitis. So anything from milk to fish to peanuts can be an allergen for those, and they show up in different ways. So I wanted to cater to it by eating certain things. Mm-hmm. And then by eating certain things, I was compromising my vaginal health. So I'm like, okay, how else can I fix this? I started understanding there's a big difference between gut health and vaginal health. Mm-hmm. So when people talk about probiotics, it's usually associated with gut health. Mm-hmm. And the way the body works is that when you're digesting your vitamins, obviously it's not all absorbed. Mm-hmm. And depending on your type of gut health or the state of your gut health, it may not even get to be beneficial for your vaginal area. So that was why I'm like, okay, there's plenty of probiotics, but not many are for vaginal health. It's like when you're not familiar with what good bacteria are for what, you're just like, oh, get on a probiotic. Yeah. You're like, hell yeah. And then you go pick up a probiotic that's from gut health. And yeah, it may be helping with bloating, but is it even getting to that area? Mm-hmm. And then some people aren't realizing sometimes it's hormonal. For me, stress plays a big role. Yes. When I get stressed, I see how indefinitely everything from hormones play a role. And So as a business owner, you're taking on a lot of problems. You're taking on your own personal problems. You're taking around probably every energy that you encounter, the stress of who you want to be versus who you are, where you feel like you should be, all of those things. And then you have the part of yourself that you empathize with that was happening in this moment. So sometimes I do have to take a step back and just be like, you are where you wanted to be for a very long time.
Yeah.
For a person that doesn't like social media, I do well with like maintaining customers, and I've always told people a customer is cool, but like a client, somebody that's returning, people that trust me, that means the world to me. So I know now that I'm dropping a product, they're gonna trust my judgment. And I think now I'm in the area of learning how to translate that to people that don't know me, people who don't know the glass effect, who's only gonna be seeing Fem.Giene Laboratories. It's important for me to showcase who I am, so that way there is some level of, girl, I don't know you, but I fuck with that. I trust you. I think me holding myself accountable and just knowing I want my product to reflect the good. Also know that I don't want to stay in that space of being good. I want to be great. I want to be exceptional. And I think that's what separates me, honestly. Knowing nobody got to put that in that. Nobody has to tell me to keep going.
I want to go back to this thing you said about the pressure of feeling like you thought you'd be somewhere else.
Oh.
And you're here.
Absolutely.
And you have to navigate that mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
But still show up.
Yes.
Every single day. But I can only imagine how that looks, showing up in person, whatever appointment, no matter what you're going through personally.
Yeah. Comparison is a thief of joy. And I think when you see other entrepreneurs just posting and having this elevator to success, it looks like the work you're putting in, you may not even have the followers to reflect that. And I feel like I don't show up on social media all the time because usually, I don't know, I feel like social media takes away from the intimacy of me being with my clients. I feel like I shouldn't have to pull out a camera and record. What if they want to talk to me about something? What if they want to engage with me about other things? Even though I'm not showing up for social media, I'm showing up here and I'm getting the satisfaction out of what I love to do. And that's why I don't have to post on social media all the time and still have clients. I understand why people do it, but I know what prevents me.
Yeah. You're standing 10 toes down on your approach.
Of course.
And I think that's really important, though. I think it's important that, you know, if you're not going to do those things, like, you really nurture what you do well.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I think
serious
people forget how important word of mouth
actually is.
Like,
I had somebody write me the other day, hey, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm here from all over Massachusetts. And I'm like, period. I don't know how the fuck you heard about me from there, but
period. Let's go.
So when I have people traveling from Boston or even traveling from Long Island and Staten Island, I'm sure there's a men's spot out there for them, but they're coming, they're choosing. Yeah. So I'm like, how we get? But it is definitely hard seeing the
Physical age.
Yes, because at the end of the day, you want to show up. And if you feel like somebody's helping your business, you want to do that to the best of what you can do. But sometimes when on a business, and I don't just own a business, I own a business, I still work, I'm trying to go back to school. So I have a lot on my plate. Plus, I feel a lot of people depend on. I can't just drop everything else I have going on. Yeah, I do a healthy version of that for myself in terms of showing up in all areas of life. So it's like, when you know you have family dependents and you can't make all of the sacrifices you're willing to make, you still have to try to navigate that phase. So sometimes it is hard knowing if I would just focus so much on this, I'll have that, but it's at what cost? Yeah. And then it's, damn, I let down every core reason I've done what I've done in my business. So I don't want to get lost in the sauce. And I've always heard slow burn, but I've always heard it in retrospect of a relationship. Slow burning in relationships, I've heard slow burning in friendships, but I've taken it and I'm like, yeah, I'm slow burning in my business. It may not be where I want it to be, but it's definitely slow burning. It's maintaining. I'm not comfortable to the point where I'm not learning. I'm not trying to get to the next step, but I'm not rushing my process either. I'm trying to get into that space where I can appreciate my now, I can work toward where I'm going, and I can also appreciate where I came from and not be stuck in the past where I'm like not doing anything to grow my business. And I think I overdo a multitasking.
She wears many hats.
Yes. And growing up, what is that saying? Master of...
Jack of all trades is a master of none.
It's almost like I gotta have my hand in every fucking pot. You know, it's my thinking something. Yeah. I need my hand in the pot. I don't know what's wrong with me. Because you can train, do it full time, and have a ball. And we ain't gotta do nothing else. But I'm always waiting to training with the mindset, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna get this money, I'm putting in the bus. It's always been that for me. And what essentially, it's the root of a lot of what I do. Even though it's not the only thing that I do.
Yeah. Like, you know why you're here. You stand on your reason every single day. I have an interesting question for you.
Yeah.
Because this comes up on social media these days, is the rules. How do you feel about service providers, the rules? There is definitely a little bit of a tug of war on who's right. And I feel like in our right minds, we're not seeing that. Everybody does have a point, in fact, but it's the compromise. And so I guess for so long, so many small business owners have compromised. And you enter in that space of compromising. Like when you enter into your business venture, you are so ready to be like, pleasing. Who can I help? Like you have that like newbie, I just want to help everybody. And then like in second year of your business, you're like, wait a fucking minute. Actually, I have standards. And y'all need to follow them. If you're gonna rock with me, you're gonna rock with me. And if you're not, then great.
Yeah. So I think where the big issue is they feel like, that little business. Imagine you with that little business making all these rules. I understand being fair, but I understand that when you do give people the opportunity to walk all over you, they will. So I think as a business owner, it's important to set your rules and set your standards for how you want your business to be ran. And I think whoever doesn't like that, they can go on your website, read that. Some people don't read, and that's why it's like, oh my God, you hit me with this? How dare you? And it's, no, sis, I don't just hit you with this, I hit everybody with this. It starts to feel personal. And I think this is why it's important to have clientele instead of just a plethora of customers. Hopefully with the idea that, because sometimes they come farming, but it's the respect goes both ways. I've had people who book with me who are clientele, who are people that come to me on routine basis that have been like, girl, I'm coming late, I got you, don't worry. And then you'll have a customer who will book you for the first time. I'm gonna be 30 minutes late. Come on now.
This varies.
Yeah. One thing doesn't just happen. It's a domino effect. With that being said, you have to treat your business like a business, because if you're trying to keep a friend, you're gonna suffer within your business. Especially with things being so expensive and things just being what they are. I feel like as long as I'm doing my part and showing up in the ways that I can, I think I should hold my clients to that same standard. And I don't think there's a problem with people that don't do that. But if you're the type of person to be 50 minutes late to your own appointments, and then you're trying to charge a customer $30 or $50, it's like, yeah. And like I've had instances where I'm doing things for the safety of the client, sterilizing stuff, and then a client like, oh, can I come in next 2 hours? It's like, girl, I actually just sterilized all your stuff. You're coming in the next hour, like it's sterile now. You need to be here now.
Like that prep work.
Yeah. So it's like when you're prepping and trying to be like prepared for your client, and they're not appreciating that. But I'm not getting into the hairstylist comments because I'm not a hairstylist. So it's just like, I think those rules are very different. I do think where you're reasonable and there is compromise, I don't think it's out of context for you to hold your business to a certain standard at all. Period.
What are the top 3 things that you would say to yourself 5 years ago? Starting your business, not really fully knowing whether you were going to start another business or whether they are like advice and positive advice or forewarning to yourself.
Okay. So first is knowledge is key. I think growing up, you go to school and you're like, I'm not doing X, Y, plus B squared equal M2 in real life. But it's funny enough, shit is M2 plus B squared equal whatever the hell. Like everything is just not always going to be as clean cut and clear as 2 plus 2. And understanding that and just going through life, I'm like, yeah, as long as you got that knowledge, you can double it. You can go back, you can do it again. So definitely knowledge is key is 1. 2, there's power in being exclusive. I think for a good part of my business, I was so fixated on being appealing to everybody.
Yeah.
That you could almost be so appealing that you're appealing to no one. So for me, it was just learning like every customer is not a good customer. All money is not good money. You can remain exclusive, and what is for you will find you. What you work for, hopefully you get in return, and then learning to appreciate where I am, to know where I'm going, and then to also see where I've come from to make those changes. Because you need critique. Nobody's perfect, and you need to really tune into what makes you you, what you're willing to change, and what you don't want to change. So it's important to be who you are and maintain your boundaries in business. Because them boundaries, remaining yourself, remaining true to yourself, they're gonna get you way further than you trying to bend to everything that comes up in the sun. I'm not saying you're gonna always know what you want, but if you know what you're into, and then you find yourself doing something that's totally not you, you knew from the job that wasn't true.
Right.
You should just set your ass down, set your stupid ass down.
That better eat your food. No, fully. And you don't always have to know who you are or what you want, but like along every step of the way, you have to be challenging that thought. I think a lot of what our day-to-day environments look like, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce. It's very easy to think, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is interesting. And not keep your like eyes on the prize, not focus on yourself, and just filling the void with anything.
Yeah, you have to be aware of your floor.
Literally.
Yeah.
It is me. And like most times, a failure does bring you back to yourself. Like a failure, and that's how you really count it all wins at the end of the day. A failure genuinely just tells you that didn't work, and here's where you are.
Yeah.
You're coming and making that full circle to yourself all over again. And so the recommitment is constant.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the hard wins, tangible wins, if you succeeded and you did it, or it's in the real learnings and losses of that didn't work and it's okay.
Yeah.
And have grace with yourself.
So grace.
Go back to the drawing board.
That is a big word.
Big word.
Big word. Like I think when we hear grace, we want people to give us grace. Obviously, we feel entitled to people giving us grace. But when it comes to you versus you have to almost teach yourself to give yourself. And then it's not rooted in laziness. It's not rooted in complacent. It's rooted in I'm holding myself accountable. I'm accepting this is what it is, but this may not be what it is for me. And navigating that space. Because you get a million no's.
Yeah. A million no's.
And if you're starting a business or you're trying to do something that other people are doing, you hear the cliches and you're like, that's so cliche. I've heard that. But then when you start being in this, you start realizing why it's a cliche. Like, why everybody repeats it. Because it is what it is. And you have to go through that aspect of your life. And it's okay, cool. I get it now.
We're not hearing these things for no reason.
No, seriously.
But you have to come to that reasoning on your own.
And then you have to find the root of your confidence. For me, my root of my confidence is knowledge.
That's so Virgo of you.
I know. I know. And I see what people niche their businesses on. And sometimes it's arrogance. Sometimes it's people like, nobody do it like I do. And yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to know that I root mine in knowledge because I make who I'm trying to reach very comfortable. And I feel like whether that's you and the client and making them more comfortable, whether that's just you to yourself and you're like, yeah, I know. Period.
Knowledge is power. And that's another key part of that, and I think which is so special to like your business and the way you operate your business is like delivering that knowledge in a way that doesn't come across as like belittling and condescending and reinforcing that shame and that fear. And that's why so many people, at least like the people that trust you, that's why they trust you. I'm not telling you that this is off just for shits and giggles. I'm telling you that this is off
because it's a genuine concern.
Because I want you to be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I love that Fem.Giene in itself at the heart of your ethos is like centering Black women and centering the concerns and really just being proactive about it from the jump. Really becoming comfortable with that. So thank you again for sitting here with me, having this really insightful conversation. And I'm so excited to show everybody what Fem.Giene is going to give and to bring more people to the glass effect.
And I want to thank you, Kiana, for having me on Lowki Genius. You provided me a platform a plethora of times. This girl is amazing. She is a trailblazer. I've seen her do things that I've later seen 2-3 years after, and I'm like, y'all been with this. Where was y'all? So, stay tuned.
Everybody, signing off. You know where to find me. Find me at Lowki Genius or at Kiana.mjjj. And I'll see you next time.